The Washington Post also reported this week on deals that Hunter Biden had with a Chinese energy company, paid $4.8 million to entities controlled by Hunter and the president's brother. Is the president confident his family didn't cross any ethical lines?
George, the president is confident that his family did the right thing. But again, I want to just be really clear. These are actions by Hunter and his brother. They're private matters. They don't involve the president, and they certainly are something that no one at the White House is involved in.
Who was taking money just because you were the vice president's son and you had influence. He got, I think, $8 million from Chinese energy companies to sit on the board and consult. Yeah, that was his passion in life. Energy exploration. Hooker exploration was his passion. Okay, so the New York Post got a hold of what was in the computer, because the New York Post is a Republican paper. The New York Times and the Washington Post are the Democrat paper. That's where we are again, kind of. The Republican paper, Twitter would cancel their account. Can't even report on this story. Of course, when Rudy Giuliani says, I've got some evidence, you take that with a giant thing of salt. It looks like the left-wing media just buried the story because it wasn't part of their narrative, and that's why people don't trust the media.
Is the president confident Hunter Biden didn't break the law?
Of course the president's confident that his son didn't break the law.
There is a question mark, though, about the president, given Tony Bobulinski's emails, that 10% for the big guy. He said that was a reference to President Biden. He's turned all of that over to the FBI. And now, I guess, this is getting coverage from CBS, from the Washington Post and the New York Times. How do you see this story changing and the impact potentially on the president?
Well, I do think the impact on the president is quite perilous. It's a long tradition of relatives giving presidents, creating problems for presidents, and that is what we have seen with this story. Once we have findings, conclusions from the investigation going on by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, I think we'll know more about just how serious this could be. But Democrats were very critical of President Trump and his family for appearances and actual conflicts of interest. And it's, I think, imperative that the same standard be applied to President Biden and his family.
A lot of speculation is that this trouble for President Biden politically started with the chaotic withdrawal in Afghanistan. Do you buy that?
I don't think it helped. I think that is obviously the case. I think that the performance with respect to Ukraine has been excellent. I think a lot of lessons have been learned, but there is a lot of good accomplishments to be putting up on the board, and the Democrats in office and out need to be doing a better job of making the case. And frankly, standing up to the other side with their craziness and their calls for impunity and nuttiness that we hear coming from them. I don't think the average American, frankly, wants to be governed by people who live in a totally different reality.
We know immigration advocates are like, stop this is terrible. You have others that say, well, okay, but we don't have a plan to do with this, in order to lift it now. How thorny is this going to get?
Extremely thorny, and that is an understatement. So people who are running for re-election, especially, this is going to be difficult for them. Democrats, you have Senator Mark Kelly in Arizona, Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada, two key states as far as immigration is concerned. And Senator Kelly said after this announcement, you did this without a plan.
There's a big shift here. 2 years ago, this was an obvious story that all of us saw as well, that Hunter Biden had used the president's name, had used his name to be able to curry favor all over the world, was funneling money back in, was working with Chinese individuals that were funneling money back over, including to the, quote unquote, the big guy, that being now President Biden. So this has been a story that's been well known. All the other media outlets are far, far behind this. They've now acknowledged the laptop that's out there they said was a Russian plant was actually Hunter Biden's laptop. It's got all these pictures of all these very indecent things that are on the laptop as well. And they're slowly but surely coming to the facts of the story. At this point, I think it's just that President Biden's approval numbers are so low, they don't feel like they have to protect him anymore, quote unquote, from it. Everyone knows that he's not going to run again in 2 years. And so this has just become a pile on.
Any thought that there could be indictments handed down? Perhaps that's why media is getting a part of this. I'll close on that.
No, there could be indictments handed down, and the Department of Justice is not talking about this much, but it's very clear that they're closing in on major tax evasion. So it's ironic that President Biden continues to be able to talk about the rich not paying their fair share of taxes, and you go into his own family who doesn't pay his own taxes.
Biden has called it a Putin price hike, but most Americans aren't buying it. And the fact is, gas prices were on the rise before Russia invaded Ukraine. The national average is now $4.22 a gallon. That's up 60 cents since the war began, but up $1.34 from a year ago. Presidents usually see a bump in approval ratings during a time of crisis, but Biden is now at new lows, his overall approval rating at 36% in a new Quinnipiac poll. Just 1 in 3 approve of how he is handling the economy.
Gas prices started rising a year ago, so is all of this to blame on Putin, or are there others?
No, partially. I don't say it's all Putin. But
look, everything the president just said that we just listened is true. It's also largely irrelevant. When inflation is where it's at, when you see gas prices going where it's at, we can talk about a jobs report here. We can talk about the latest PCE numbers or the CPI, and all of us former Bloomberg reporters can really get into the weeds, right? But there's one number that they can't really change right now, and that is what the placard says at the local gas station. Yeah. And that number is high, and that's a daily jobs report that voters, that Americans, consumers see every day, and there's nothing the White House can do about it other than bring down the price of gasoline, which is tough.
And maybe blame Putin. And this week the tagline was the Putin price hikes or something to that effect.
Look, when I drive past gas stations that say blame Putin more than they say let's go Brandon, I'll know the White House. I'll know the White House has been successful in messaging it. That hasn't happened yet.